Hi, today I'm going to talk about the FMS Ranger 850. To me the 850 is just a nice size. It has a wingspan of 850 millimeter and weighs about 300 grams when you put in the receiver and battery. This is the P&P version, so it comes with the aircraft fully assembled. Almost, you just have to put on the wing and the rear landing set. Included in this P&P version is all the servos. Those servos for ailerons mounted on each wing, and the servos for the elevator and rudder are inside. This one also have a feature of when you control the rudder, the nose wheel also turns. So it's great for ground handling. So what you have to do to make this fly, you have to get your receiver, your battery, and of course you have to have a transmitter. And I use my DX8 transmitter, generation 2. I think this is a nice one because it has telemetry and it has voice feedback. I can use 8 channels. It's a good feel to it. And also included in this one is a speed controller, a 12 amp speed controller. And this powers the brushless motor in front. And there's also a very nice thing. There's a landing light, a bright LED landing light, which you can attach to your receiver. It runs on 5 volts and it's bright. So if you look on underneath it, it's the hatch for the battery, which is held by a magnet, and inside you'll find a JST connector, which I marked with black on one side just to make swapping batteries easier. And they recommend to run this on 2-cell 850 milliamp batteries. I've flown it with both the 850 and I've flown with 8000, and they fit just fine. There's also a RTF version of this plane, which I also have. But I don't like the remote one which comes with it, but it uses the reflex system, and it also includes GPS fence, which when you go further away than 120 meters, the aircraft will return. So that's a nice feature. This one, on the other hand, you have to put in your own receiver, and I opted for the Spectrum AR637T, which includes AS3X stabilization and also Safe Select. So this makes it very confident to fly the aircraft. You can take off and you can land with Safe, and then you can turn Safe off to do acrobatic like loops and rolls. And I think this one flies really nice. It's a good lift with the wings. It's a smooth takeoff, smooth landing, smooth flight, so it's great. If we look at the landing gears, this one is steerable, of course, as I mentioned. And this might be a weak spot on this aircraft because there's no dampening. It looks like there's a spring, but it's only a fake spring. So if you would land in this direction, directly on the nose wheel, I think the mount for the nose wheel will somehow get bent or, get loose. So I would be careful when landing this one to land it on all 3 wheels. The design of this one I think is really nice. On the upper side of the wing there are these curved lines, and underneath we have these straight lines, so it's very easy to tell orientation of this one. The wings are also held by these struts, which you can remove. So when you get this one, you have to attach the wing, the rear gear, and of course install your receiver. So when you use the Spectrum receiver and the Spectrum transmitter, there's a really nice feature called forward programming. So all the programming you do, you don't have to hook up a computer. You only use the transmitter and the menu system. So it's very easy to program when you set up AS3X and also Safe. And included is also telemetry. So for instance, altitude, if you want altitude information, and you can, if you have another ESC, you can get battery information as well, so that's nice. And I put the timer on 6 minutes for this plane, which works just fine. I think when you use the 1000 milliamp battery, you will probably get around maybe 7 or 8 minutes flight. So my final thoughts about the FMS Ranger 850 is it's a really nice airplane. It's the right size, it flies smooth, it's powerful enough to do acrobatic or just go a bit fast. It's quite easy to assemble. It got the features I want. Of course, it would be nice to have more lights on the aircraft, and of course flaps. You might be able to install flaps later on. But the EPO foam this one has is really nice. It feels sturdy and probably will take a hit or two. There are no like different materials used. Everything is EPO. Like some planes have weaker parts on the stabilizer. And there's a bit of damping going on with the rear landing gears. So well, I think it's a really nice aircraft. So let's watch some video of me flying it. Okay, so here's the takeoff at my local soccer field. And you don't need much runway to get this thing in the air. So this was one of my maiden flights. I had like 6 battery packs with me. I think this like the 3rd flight I did, trying to get a feel for the plane, how it operates, how it glides. I try to go out of safe to do a loop. In the background you can hear the DX8 talking to me. So I had set it up so that it would warn me when I hit the 50-meter height, and it would also tell me how much time I have left on my timer. And the way I set up my Ranger is I have like the A switch I have for selecting between AS3X stabilized mode and the safe mode. And I think that's the best switch for me, at least. I have all my other RC aircrafts set up this way. And here we have an interesting encounter. It looks like I'm about to hit this bird, but I wasn't really close. It's just the angle that looks like I'm pretty close. One thing I like about this hobby is just to get up early in the morning. This was just after sunrise. You can see the sun rays hitting the wings of the plane. And usually it's just a calm morning and little or no wind. So this was a day with like 1 or 2 meters per second wind, which is almost dead calm. So I'm just trying to get a good sense of how the aircraft operates and how it feels to glide in the air. So most of this flight is done with safe on. And then like here I'm just exiting safe. It's also great with safe, which if you find yourself in a jam, you can always just get it engaged again. So if you're out of safe, you do like I did here, a couple of spiral rolls. I can just, with the flip of a switch, get the aircraft to outer level. I think it just glides nice. What I do when I turn, when I go slow, I just increase the throttle so I get more handling of the airplane. And I'm getting in a little bit lower just to see the aircraft. It's so nice having the sun rays hitting the underside of the wings. And it's easy to see when you have these straight lines underneath the wing. It's so easy to see which is up and which is down. And this is actually a pretty small soccer field, so I don't have too much room. But then when you climb, you can actually fly much wider. And as you can hear, it's not that loud. The engine is not that loud. The nearby traffic is actually having a higher sound level. And I usually, when I want to drop altitude, I set the plane into a slight spiral. In flying this time, I had like a 1000 milliamp battery, and I got about, I think, with maybe 7 minutes of flight time. I set a timer for 6 minutes, but I have flown a little bit longer. And I think the batteries ended up like 3.8, 3.9 volts per cell. So I probably can go like 8 or maybe 9 minutes. I think you wouldn't go below 3.4 volts on the LiPo batteries per cell. So maybe next time I'll set the timer to maybe 7 minutes. And this is nice, just to have the aircraft glide through the air. And then pick up throttle speed just to have more handling. I think the speed is fine. There's a nice push to it. If you're running out all those beeps, it's my DX8, which just tells me when I go over, I think it's 10% throttled. So it beeps whenever. So I know when I'm at 0 throttle, I know it. And here we have a landing. Pretty nice and smooth. This is artificial grass, so there's nothing sticking to it. And well, that's what's the end of this flight. Some taxiing is also great, as you can see. Thank you for watching.